So we have a question today from someone who does not want to be named. So he will be named Bob. Bob says that he has a garbage pattern from our buddy who's a purple belt, and he mainly plays bottom, but the other day he was rolling with a really tough, solid, aggressive blue belt, and he tried to play bottom, but his training partner sat on his back first, and so he had to come up on top. Now, out of Bob's own words, I almost said his name, he says that his top game is garbage, but his guard passing is decent, so he was able to pass the guard, and when he would get to a top position, he just couldn't get anything going. And in some way or form, the guy would roll him over and get on top of him, and then basically this whole process would rinse and repeat, where he would back on top, he passed the guard, but he was not able to get anything, going attack-wise from the top position. So he's wondering, how do I learn how to play top if I can't get to get a position? And so again, thanks for the question, brother. So it sounds like, because you said you passed the guard, right? So that means that you're getting somewhere and you're on top, so you're getting to top position. The first thing that I would say, brother, is you need to sort of change your mindset, right? I tell this to guys all the time, right? Like, if you go into a roll with someone, like let's say for instance I was rolling with Chad. Lay down your back, Chad. If I'm rolling with Chad here, and let's say that and this is the reason I'm showing you this particular move is because this is something that I had a problem with. So if I go into a move right here where, all right, I'm trying to go for an X choke, right? But in the back of my mind, I have this feeling that I suck with X chokes. I'm not choking anybody, right? If I'm trying to X choke Chad and I'm like, man, my freaking X chokes suck. Like, that's my self-talk right now as I'm going in for the X choke. I'm never gonna get an X choke because I don't believe I can get it, okay? So the first thing you have to do is you have to change your mindset, brother. This is something that happens a lot of times with small, like the guys that play on their back a lot, like guard players. When they come up on top, you have to change your mindset. You gotta be a bruiser. You gotta be ready to fight like hell. Like if someone almost sweeps you, you fight to get back up. You don't accept it. A lot of times guys that are very comfortable in their back, because they're so comfortable, like if Chad's here, and this is something I see from a lot of guys, if the bottom person, so he's the bottom player primarily, but he's on top right now. If the person who tries to sweep him, they go for like a half-assed attempt for a sweep, they just kind of go over so they can be where they want to be, right? Because it's comfortable here. So you've got to be comfortable playing in the uncomfortable, and you got to be ready to stay there. So first off, you got to change your mindset, and you got to be ready to fight on top. You got to be like, I'm a bruiser, and I'm not getting swept. Right, that has to be your mindset when you're going for the rolls. Now that said, let's talk about some different stuff. You said you were passing the guard, so I'm going to assume you made it to side control, but you just couldn't get anything going, right? I'm going to assume that's the case, and you're not holding the position. So let's just talk about some basic grips that you can use to hold. First things first, we always, in a side control, we always want to block the hip, okay? So again, if we have any sort of position, whether I use my hip to block, my knee to block, my hip, my hand, there's always something blocking this near side hip, because if he makes it away from me, like if Chad is able to scoot away from me, this bottom knee comes in, I lose space, okay? Next thing is your hip positioning and chest positioning. Inside control, especially for you guys that are more bottom focused players, you'll find that typically your hips might get a little high. Like wrestlers, if you ever watch a wrestler, they get down here and they're like super low, right? Because they're used to pinning people, and that's how you pin people. You don't pin people up like this, right? This creates a lot of space for the person, and it puts our body weight right over top of them, to where if he starts to roll, that's gonna make me off balance. And if you're up against a really strong person at the bottom, that's gonna be a bad idea. It'll roll you right off. So make sure that one thing, think about the positioning of your body. If you look right now, I'm very high on Chad. Now there's some different stuff that you can do, but if you're here, we want to be down, right? Notice that right now my hips are back. My base, my center of gravity is down on this side of Chad, right? Down on this side of his center line, right? Here's the center of Chad's body. It's over here. If I was to go over top like this, now I'm centered over top of Chad. My hips are too high, so if he moves, I'm going to move, right? And I'm gonna have to post, and that's gonna open up a lot of stuff. So big lesson here for you today is once you pass, get low. Get those hips low, hips low, hips low. We stay on this side of the body most often. Okay, even when we come up for this double one here, I keep my hips back here so that my body, honestly, is making more, my primary contact point right now is right on this side of Chad's ribs, because that's gonna keep me low, and it's gonna make me hard to get rid of. And then what your focus is here, okay, after you maintain the position, right? That's what you focus on. Don't worry about submissions. Don't worry about attacks from side control. Make your goal when you go to the gym, because you say you have trouble holding this position, stay there. Do everything in your power to maintain top position. Like if someone starts to, push you away or something, boom, we fight like hell to get right back into it, If someone gets their legs back in front and they almost sweep me right here, I'm gonna get back up and try to get back up to position. I don't want to simply accept being knocked back over. So those would be the things that I would advise from you, just from the question. If I missed something or maybe that wasn't what you were asking, shoot me another message. Maybe we can do another video. But first off, start changing your mindset. You have to go into it thinking that you can actually work from the top position, because if you don't, it doesn't matter what cool things you learn on the internet, what techniques you have, you're not gonna make it work because you don't believe you can do it. Second thing, when you get to those positions, drop everything down, right? Get really, really tight in position, drop your hips low, and make sure you're not too high on the person where they can just move around under you and side control. And then the last thing, I just sort of threw this in there, is again, that make sure that when you're playing those positions, because you don't feel that confident in top position, you're not gonna feel comfortable, make sure that you force yourself to play there. Even ask all your training partners, like say, hey man, I really need to work on my top game. They probably know you're a good bottom player anyway. So ask all your training partners as much as you can. Say, hey, like, can I start in your guard so I can practice breaking and passing top position? And ask them if you can do that. You even talk to your coach and maybe see if that's cool, where you can start in those positions during different roles and things like that. So, brother, thank you for the question. Hope that helps.